I worked in production at DreamWorks Animation for 4 years, working on movies such as The Bad Guys and briefly on the recently announced Kung Fu Panda 4. I've been creating my own animations for about 10 years, working on short films, music videos. I've studied animation so you don't have to. In this video, I've compiled 3 of the biggest myths about animation that I've come across while working in this industry, so let's get into it and break them down. The first misconception is that 3D animation is much easier than 2D animation, because the computer does all the work for you, right? Well, not exactly. 3D animators have the same skill set as 2D animators when it comes to posing characters and utilizing both timing and spacing to create appealing animation. Where a 2D animator uses their pencil to bring characters onto each page, 3D animators manipulate a 3D rigged character, like a puppeteer, frame by frame. Both animators need to have the same understanding of the craft in order to animate professionally. When 2D animators draw out their character, they are constantly thinking about how to make their drawings more visually appealing, using techniques like strong silhouettes, asymmetry, etc. 3D animators are not exempt from this just because they don't need to draw out the character. In fact, sometimes it takes longer to pose out the character in 3D than it would just be to draw it out. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video explaining appeal as it applies to animation. I would love to discuss this topic in greater detail. The next myth of animation is that you need to go to school to learn how to be an animator. I can personally say that this is not true, since I'm entirely self-taught. There are so many resources for new animators out there, so here are a few. Number 1, you have The Illusion of Life. This book was written by 2 of Disney's original animators, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnson. In this book, they introduced the 12 principles of animation, which are known to every animator as the guiding laws of character animation. It's a bit of a read, but for new animators, this is a goldmine. The second resource that I recommend is online classes. There are several great animation courses out there that don't require you to attend a university full-time, but can still give you an accredited certification in character animation. Sites such as Anim School, Animation Mentor, and iAnimate, just to name a few. In addition, the website 11 Second Club holds a monthly contest for animators to animate the same piece of audio, with the winners having their shot reviewed by a professional animator. It's a great motivator, and the forums are full of animators looking to improve their shots and help other animators. The third resource is YouTube. Obviously, there's a lot of tutorials on how to animate, but I mean specifically finding your favorite animated scenes on YouTube and framing through them. You can use the period and the comma keys on your keyboard to step through it frame by frame, and when you do, take note of how the characters move between each pose. You can learn a lot just from studying animation at its face value. This next myth is a bit of a doozy, so before we get into it, please smash the like button if you're still with me. Thanks. Animation in the last few years has unfortunately been designated as a kids genre. In the US, just about every animated movie these days is marketed towards children. If an animated movie does resonate with the general public, the inevitability is that it will be replicated in the clearly superior format live action. Studio executives looked at Spider-Verse, the animated movie that redefined mainstream feature animation, and said with a straight face, well, the reason it was so popular is because there were multiple Spider-Mans, which is how we ended up with the mess that was No Way Home. Clearly, there's a lot of animated content for kids, mostly because it's cheaper for studios to make them and almost always does well at the box office. There is also plenty of animation that is geared towards adults. Unfortunately, for the craft of animation, this animation is usually used as a gimmick. Like, wow, the cartoon character said a bad word. Edgy. Give me a break. This animation is often really cheap to make. Just look at how stiff the animation in scenes from Family Guy are. AKA, the animators don't have to animate every frame, just parts of the frame. Even everyone's favorite adult animated show, BoJack Horseman, had no reason to be animated other than being vulgar cartoon characters. Let's be real. In this robot's humble opinion, adult animation is just a term that's used by marketing teams to lure in adults to watch their animated shows with the promise of vulgarity and other mature themes. Animation, however, is not a kids' genre that you can just put adult in front of and suddenly it can be appreciated. Animation is a medium. It's an art form that deserves to be appreciated for the pure artistry behind every frame. Nothing in an animated movie is there by mistake. Every inch of the frame is carefully constructed by a team of artists who pour their heart and soul into every shot. All animation can be appreciated by kids and adults alike, even if the film or TV show is not specifically labeled adult animation. The next time you watch an animated movie, pay attention to the details in the background. If there is a sunset, then a team of artists work night and day to create it. If the blades of grass look photorealistic, that means artists took time out of their weekend to study the science of how light and wind interact with real grass and replicate it. If the smoke in Arcane or The Bad Guys looks like it was hand-drawn, it's because a team of artists pored over reference footage from their favorite animated movies to recapture the magic of hand-drawn elements. If you're an adult who's given up on animation, I get it. It's not easy when every other year we get annoying ads everywhere for the Minions. But if you do a little digging, you can find some extraordinary stories being told in animation. If you're a fan of animation, leave a comment below of what animated movie you show to people who don't like animation. If you want to see animation that I've created myself, I actually started my own immersive animation studio, and you can watch the launch video for that right here. If you could give me a like on this video, that would be really appreciated. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.